If you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. When you do, make sure you hit the notification bell. That means that you will be informed of when a new video has been released. If you would like to take that support one step further, you can do that via Patreon, which is an optional monthly service. You can donate money towards the channel, or you can go over to Ko-fi.com, and for the price of a coffee you can help donate towards the channel as well. Links for all of those will be in the description of the video, and without further ado, enjoy the video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be watching another interview from the SIL. I am delighted to be able to say that tonight I am joined by one half of the management duo, and I've been told to make that point crystal clear, not to upset Carl, who sadly can't be with us this evening, but I'm delighted to be able to say that I'm joined by Jake MONAGHAN. Jake, sir, how are you doing? You're all right, mate?
Yeah, good evening, mate. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks very much. I'm good.
Good. Well, apologies in advance for people who are watching this. If you can hear the rain on the roof, there's literally nothing I can do about it. Just putting that disclaimer out there before people saying that you can hear pitter patters in the background. As I said, nothing I can literally do about it. So, Jake, let's kind of talk about you briefly before we jump into the football side of things. How have you been during COVID and lockdown and all that kind of stuff like that? How have you been adjusting to life? It's been an odd time.
Yeah, I mean, for myself personally, I've carried on working throughout. So I've been working from home. So it's not been too much of a problem for myself. But obviously, it's the whole Groundhog Day. Here we go again when the alarm goes off, and it's just kind of getting yourself into a routine. But everyone's kind of getting there now gradually. But yeah, it's nice that we're kind of seeing bits of normality returning now. So it seems to be getting there. And obviously, the most important thing we all want is the football comeback, which we've seen bits of with the Premier League and everything. So it feels like we're starting to get there again. So
definitely. How have you found it without football? Because I can imagine, obviously, you're in the game, week in, week out. You're a manager. You know what the game is like. How have you found it? Has it been nice to have a little bit of a break, or are you just kind of itching to get back in?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for the first few weeks, it was kind of a nice kind of relief, because you do have the continuous Wednesday, Saturdays, all the time. But then after that, a few weeks passes initially, you're just itching to have it back again, really. You miss the banter between the players, and it's kind of that social element that you really miss, from going to the pub after the game to just being around all the lads, really. So
yeah,
I guess even on the pitch side, it's the off the pitch side that you really miss as well. So
definitely. Let's kind of get some background on your time at Kesgrave Kestrels before we kind of talk about what's coming up in the future, etc. How did you kind of find yourself in management to begin with, and your previous roles before joining Kesgrave? Because you've only been here for this was your first season at the club, is that right?
Yeah, so this is my first kind of as full a season as we can call it.
Yeah.
always been involved in local football. I've played for my village team, Mendlesham, played for the reserves there, and then at Dastral Park I played a few games there. But yeah, I've kind of always been involved in it and enjoyed it, and that kind of led me to the opportunity opening up to take over Mendlesham reserves about two and a half years ago now.
Right.
And the chance kind of come there, and it was always something that I'd fancied doing and kind of wanted the opportunity to.
Yeah.
And I did that. So they were an intermediate A side at the time.
Right.
And obviously had a few mates that were already playing from as well. So that was a bonus. It was a hard dynamic to get used to at first, because you are, in the day, I'm still a young manager, and I've got mates that are my age that are playing. It is something that I've had to get used to over time, but I think I've kind of got used to it all right. And so was there, kept them up in the first season I was there in intermediate A, and then kept them up the following season as well. So that was that.
Mm.
And then I was kind of really getting the bug to do first team football,
Right.
to manage that, because that's what I wanted. Because I think that if you're a first team manager, you can really drive the direction of the club. You can really take it in the area that you want it to go.
Yeah.
And I feel as a reserve manager, it's such an important job. You know, you are, you know, you can never say enough how important having a good reserve team there is to a club.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take up that first team role. But at the time, there was two, you know, very good managers that were managing mentioned first team at the time.
Right.
So I knew I wasn't going to get that opportunity, at least for the near future.
Mm.
And that's when, at the end of the season, Carl approached me, and he said, you know, I'm stepping up from the reserve team at Kesgrave. You know, do I want to step up with him and, you know, be the joint manager with him at Kesgrave first team?
Mm.
And it was a big decision for me, because, you know, it was my local village team. I'd always been involved with it for a few years, and
Right.
really loved the club. But the opportunity was kind of too good to turn down, and it was exactly what I was, you know, looking at doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, that's when I after a bit of decision making back and forward, I accepted it and kind of never looked back from there, really. So
Yeah. So was there any reservations about joining the club? Because obviously the previous season before you joined, they were relegated into
yeah,
Division 3. So it's always a tricky time when you're taking over a club that have just been relegated, because the atmosphere around the place can sometimes be a bit negative. Was there any hesitation about joining it, or was the lure of first team football just something you just couldn't turn down?
it was a mixture of both, to be honest. Because, you know,
Right.
I've wanted to, like I said, I've wanted to do the first team football, but that, you know, Kestrels being relegated didn't bother me at all. If anything, I saw it as an even better opportunity for a fresh start from a team.
Right. Fair enough.
At the end of the day, for me, if a team's been relegated and the players stay about, you know who the loyal players are. That for me
Fair
sums
enough.
it up. And I'm looking at that. You know, as a group, there was a group of players that were there when I got there, and they'd been relegated with the club, and there was absolutely no intention of them going anywhere. And you knew that they were loyal to the club, and that's the kind of
Yeah.
thing that you're looking for. So that part didn't faze me at all. So, you know, we had a kind of amalgamation of some of the reserves stepping up to the first team, because a few players left after relegation for Kestrels, and then you
Sure.
had a few of my lads from mentioned reserves come over, and then we kind of mix this kind of hybrid team together to make what is now the you know, the Kestrels squad. So it never bothered me that they were relegated at all. If anything, like I say, I saw it as an opportunity for an even better fresh start.
Definitely. Now, last season, obviously, we never got to complete the full season, but if we
Mm-hmm.
look at things from a league table perspective, obviously, you guys finished third in Division 3 behind two unbelievably good teams in Melton and Elmswell. How do you, now that you've had a lot of time to process that first season, not only for the club perspective, but for you personally, with it being your first job as the first team manager, how do you reflect on last season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pleased. I mean, you go into that situation, and it is that element of unknown. And me and Carl both discussed it, and we said, okay, what's the aim? The aim was promotion. We saw
Yeah.
the standard of players that we had coming to the club, but at the same time, you know, we had to say, well, what's realistic? And right now, everyone knows you can bring in, you know, 8 or 9 brand new faces into a club. That does not mean that they're going to gel instantly. That doesn't mean that
No.
you're going to get the results what you want straight away. So,
Yeah, 100%.
you know, so we kind of said the aim is promotion, or as high up as the table as possible. And, you know, for a first season, let's see what we can achieve. If we can do it, that's brilliant, and that's exactly what we want. You know, but if we just fall short, you know, there was no worries about that. You know, as a case of, you know, let's go. You know, we can go again, and you know, it's a chance to, I'd say, learn about the club. From my point of view, it's a season to learn, because I didn't know any of the personnel there. I didn't know a lot of the players there, apart from the few that had come with me.
Mm.
So it was a real season of learning. So, you
Yeah.
know, I guess that's how it went, really.
Definitely. Now, you've obviously had your time in reserve football in terms of management. You mentioned about having a good reserve team as part of a whole picture. Something I recently discovered about the club, and we were talking very briefly before we kind of started here, is how much youth the club has and how many teams are on board. Just kind of describe to people who are listening to this the scale of it, because when you told me, it completely blew me away. Because most clubs, when you think about SIL, you think the first team and reserves. You just don't really think about anything else beyond that. So what kind of things are going on behind the scenes of the club?
Yeah, so I was just checking my stats there to make sure I had the right number. So at the minute we're sitting at 29 youth teams that are involved with Kesgrave Kestrels, and that is the massive part of this club. From obviously Carl, from a chairman point of view as well. This is a big part of our philosophy, that we are taking players from all the way up to under fives to under 16s, then to the reserves, and then to the first team. So you've got a mix of obviously boys teams, girls teams as well, and obviously your vets as well. So it's a huge network. You're talking over 500 people were signed on to Kesgrave Kestrels last year.
Jeez.
So on personnel wise, it was one of the biggest in the SIL, because of the sheer amount of teams and coaches that go up into making this club. So
Definitely. How important is it then for you to have not only obviously the youth team in there, but to also have the women's team, because that is something that is growing in popularity throughout the country. It's something now which is being far more recognised as well. Do you see that as an important pillar for the club?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's hugely important, and it's something that should be encouraged in every club. You've seen obviously a lot of clubs are really growing in that respect as well. You can see like Needham Market women's team as well is that's a huge example of a club that a women's team that is really taking the social media aspect by storm and absolutely killing it at the minute. And that area is something that we've got to be encouraging, and I know that's something Carl, as the chairman, constantly reiterates and pushes, that we have to be that kind of club that supports that, and it's so important as well. So that's massive for us as well.
You mentioned social media there. Let's talk about that before we move on to next season and the aims, etc. You guys have launched your YouTube channel for the upcoming season. What you're doing on Twitter and social media this season, I think you've been one of the clubs that kind of have stood out to me as really embracing social media and have taken it, I'd say, by storm in the SIL. What's been the thinking behind not only the YouTube channel but the social medias, and why do you and the club feel that it's such an important thing to really sort of get started?
I mean, you said it yourself. It is massive right now. It is so important, and from my point of view, as a club right now, if you want to appeal to the younger generation, then you have to be interactive and engaging. And as a football club, it is a very tough kind of, I say, industry to be in, where it's harder than ever to get players. It's more competitive than ever to get players, and you have to stand out as a club and make sure that you appeal to all these people. So the YouTube channel was a plan that I've wanted to do for a number of months now, and it's kind of the one kind of project that's come out of the whole COVID situation. Really, is it's give us the time as a team to look at that.
Yep.
So we wanted to do it for a while. It's a way of kind of increasing the club's digital footprint. It appeals to everyone. It can be shared, and it also kind of gives us that social element as well. The most important thing for it, I would say, is that with SIL football, you know it yourself. You kind of have that. You kind of choose one game a weekend, don't you? And that is the game that you're going to watch.
Yep.
And but the interest in SIL football is growing all the time, and people don't just want to see one game a weekend. They want they're instantly, I've been there. The lads will get up, touchline SIL or the Macron League now, and they'll get up the results straight away. Or how are they getting on, and they want to know. And checking out teams' highlights like Cranes that are doing their highlights, people love it, and there's an interest there as well. So for us, as long as we've got the people that are willing to help, because obviously this kind of thing doesn't get done on its own.
No.
As long as we have the people that are willing to help, that we do within the club, then this kind of thing is an absolute no-brainer to do, and it can really, give our club a bit of personality as well, that people can watch and look in and see what kind of club we are, because it is hard now to show, what you are as a club. When you only get to turn up to a training session a week, or you come pre-season, you don't get that full picture. And hopefully with this kind of thing, that's what it can do.
Yeah.
So,
do you feel that then, with everything that is going on, in terms of the number of teams you've got, the number of, you mentioned about the women's side, the social media side of things, do you think that is something now that having you and Carl as joint managers, rather than it just being one of you, is going to be so beneficial? Because it's two heads, it's two minds, it's more time split up to be able to focus on everything that's going on at the club, rather than just one person who dictates the whole thing.
Absolutely. I think Mark and Bam alluded to it the other week. Joint managers is a thing that's becoming increasingly popular, and I can see why, because there is so much that's going on, and at the end of the day, maybe you could do it on your own. If you want to do just the bare basics, you want to just pick the team on the Wednesday and then you want to get them out on a Saturday, by all means, you can probably do that on your own. However, if you want to take the club to the next level and you want to push up the leagues and you want to get your first team into senior football and your reserve team into, up the intermediate leagues, then I feel you need as many people as you can there to help with that, because it is tough, and like you say, that the way that you can bounce off each other with ideas, and obviously with the committee as well. And this is just a number of ideas that we've had this year. We're looking at player sponsorships as well, so which are all going to go up on the website, and it's all about growing that online digital presence, which just makes the club more rounded as a whole. More than just you turn up for the 90 minutes. It's a community. It's a proper club.
Definitely. Let's look into next season then. Whenever it may start, we're still at that point where we now know who is going to be in the division, but we still don't have that official start date to kind of really aim towards. But you've had a chance to look at the new league. We've got 6 new teams into the division now. We've got AFC Wanderers, we've got Oldbrook, Great Blakenham, Bromford, contentious as that is, Locomotive Laxfield and Unity United into Division 3. For you, and I've asked the guys over at stage this question, how much are you looking forward, or maybe not looking forward, to having new teams in the division? Because it is an unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really torn on it, because at the same time, it frustrates me, because at the same time you get used to the teams that you played last year. You know who you're going to come up against. And it's obviously something that you don't get in the higher leagues most of the time. You know who's going to be there from season to season. But when you literally had 6 brand new teams, and it's interesting you say that, because of how the season ended last year. I think it was Wortham and Bardwell. We didn't even get to play at all, because both fixtures got backlogged. They were going to be due to be played around January time, and the bad weather hit. So both Bardwell games were back to back, and both Wortham games are going to be back to back as well, I think, or roundabouts. So in theory, 8 teams, we haven't even played once. So it's a real unknown, but it's exciting. It's exciting, and I'm looking forward to the challenge personally. I think at the end of the day, we've got to say it's not about them. It's about what we do as a team, and it's kind of at the end of the day, if we turn up to a team that we know were perhaps bottom half of the table last year, perhaps we've got a certain attitude that we'll do, this game will be nice and straightforward for us. Whereas with 8 technically brand new teams that we don't know, you have to go in full pelt expecting the best team in the league. You have to. So at the same time, it's interesting to see teams obviously like Brantford back and things like that. And it is unexpected because you just don't know what's going to be, who's going to be in them teams. But it's one that at the end of the day we shouldn't be interested in. We should just be interested in taking it game by game, very cliched, and focusing on ourselves. And that's all we should do.
So let's focus on yourselves then. You've kept, I'd say, the majority of your team in place for next year, and you've already made quite a few additions to the team. Now, obviously, I had the privilege of being able to speak to Ben recently, and he got the chance to tell his story. But his story aside, that's a hell of a player that you've managed to pull in to the club. So, how do you kind of assess the squad in terms of where you're at now? Are you happy with things, or are you looking to make maybe a couple of more additions? Where do you see things for the club right now?
So something that I've always kind of looked at is I'm always interested in strengthening the team. There is never a point where I will be happy with where we are from a team perspective. As a manager, I think that's the right thing to say, because
100%.
If anything, I'm just going to make the reserve team stronger at the end of the day. I'm just going to make the club better as a whole. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I'm always happy with the team that I put out. We've got an amazing bunch of talented lads at Kestrels. From the reserves to the first team, there's some players that are absolutely phenomenal youngsters there that have already had, some of them have had a bit of taste of first team this season, and there will certainly be some that if they haven't, they will do. So, but from obviously a recruiting point of view, we're always looking to make the team better. But it's all about, for me, that's not the point. The point is I want the people with the right attitude to join the team, and buy into what we're doing as a club. The philosophy is that we are bringing in players that suit us, suit the way we play, but also we're bringing through the young players as well through all these youth teams, and we have to find that balance where we're not going overboard from a youth perspective, because you'll just get out battled from that perspective. But if you then bring in experienced players like Ben, for example, players with that are proven that can play in very tough divisions in the SIL, then that is the perfect mix, and that's what we're looking for. So I think that's the best way of kind of answering it, that I'm never done wanting to improve the team, because at the end of the day, I want this team to play senior football in the next few years. So if I want that, and Carl wants that as well, it's an ambition we both share. We want the reserve team to be an intermediate A side, then we need to keep strengthening all the time. So but yeah, I think that's right on that.
Fair enough. I think I already know the answer to this one then, based on what you've just said there. But in terms of aims for next season, having looked at things from last season, is the aim promotion?
I think the aim for us is league and cup double. That would be the aim.
I like it.
We got knocked out by a very talented young Leiston A side last season in the quarterfinals of the Primary Cup. And, for a team that were 17, 18 years of age, their game management was unbelievable, and I think with every signing and strengthening that we make, and every year on this young team that we've got at Kestrels, I can see us, being able to take that one step further, go for the league. I think we were unlucky that we had two brilliant teams in Elmsall and Melton. I mean, two fantastic sides in Division 3. I mean, somehow we got 6 points off Elmsall. To this day, I don't know how, but it was unbelievable. It was one of my favourite ever games of SIL football, just a pure battle. It's so I think with that, it has to be with them two now being promoted. I think it's got to be us to step up now and kind of fill that gap and get promotion there, and obviously hope that we can deliver in the cup and take that home as well.
Definitely. I'm going to allow you I've never done this before, but I'm going to allow you the opportunity to promote the club for the final part of this video. So this is your opportunity to speak to anybody who is interested in joining the club or who's thinking of where to go as their next move. You know, it doesn't have to be first team, it could be any age group. What is it that's unique and different, and what can the club offer to anybody who is interested in coming towards Kesgrave Kestrels?
So, I mean, I've said most of it, to be honest, but it's a club that wants to grow on and off the pitch. We do have a young team, but with that young team, we've got a good mix of experience as well. We've got a talented young reserve side and a talented young first team as well. But also, as I've said, 29 youth teams that are part of this. So obviously, for any families or anything that are watching as well, this is another great opportunity to get your children involved in a great local club. We're growing it on and off the pitch. We're launching the YouTube channel, which obviously when the season starts, we'll be actually putting some more footage on there. At the minute, it's just a bit of a taster video to start with, to show what kind of things we want to do. And we're going to be officially starting training on the 15th of June at Millennium Way in Kesgrave at 7 o'clock. And if people want to be involved in a team which has the philosophy of getting up the leagues as soon as possible, and looking for league and cup success, then there's nowhere better to look right now. So
love it.
That's how's that for a sale? Is that right?
That is a pretty damn good sale. In fact, you're actually
put me on the spot there. I was not expecting that. So cheers. That weren't discussed in the prior phone call.
No, it was not. You're actually convincing me to maybe dust off the old boots and come along.
You want to, get involved. Head over.
I don't think anyone from the SIL would want me at their club.
Don't put yourself down, mate. So, but no, you're a welcome visitor next season, of course. So
definitely,
love to have you.
I 100% will be. I've been impressed with what you guys have been doing during the off season. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're capable of next season. A lot of new teams, as we mentioned in Division 3. It's going to be one of the most interesting divisions, definitely in the SIL, because of the unpredictability of it. We've got Division 1, which is going to be the most competitive, but Division 3, from a unique and an unknown, is something that can't be matched. Absolutely cannot be matched. So I'm definitely going to be going down to Div 3 and seeing what it's all about. And I'm looking forward to coming over to see you guys in person and meet up and have a chat.
Definitely. No, that sounds great.
Absolute pleasure having you on, Jake. Really wish you guys the best of luck for next season, and hope your first training session goes well, and
Thank you.
You guys enjoy that. But if you have enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel as well. If you subscribe and hit the notification bell every time a video goes out, it will be sent to your email so that you are informed of when that does drop. If you want to take that support one step further, you can do so via it is not Podbean, that's the podcast. That's terrible. You can do so via Ko-fi and also via Patreon. Both links will be in the description below. But until next time, as always, adios.